The rescue that never made the news. Elias wasn't a hero. At least, not in the way stories tell it. He didn't wear medals. He didn't make speeches. And he never told anyone about that day. Not even once. But the universe remembered. It happened 12 years ago, during the last days of the Outer War. Elias was a young human soldier, part of a recon unit near the edge of the Orion Belt. The fighting had stopped for a while. Both sides were low on weapons, tired of death. His team had been ordered to sweep a dead zone on an abandoned moon. Just scan, record, report. But fate had other plans. The crash site was hidden between sharp black rocks, smoke rising like a signal. The rest of his squad ignored it. No signs of life. Just wreckage, the commander said. Move on. But Elias felt something. A pull. A whisper in his gut. He stayed behind. He climbed over metal shards and burning wires. The ship was unlike any human design. Sleek, silver, glowing with strange symbols. A royal crest was half buried under the dust. Then he heard it. A voice. Faint, broken, calling for help. He followed the sound through a twisted hallway. The doors were melted, the walls shaking. Whatever hit this ship, it wasn't friendly. Then he saw her. Curled in the corner of a broken chamber was a young alien girl, barely alive. Her skin shimmered softly in the dark. Her hair floated like threads of light, eyes wide, full of pain and fear. She tried to speak, but coughed blood instead. Elias dropped his weapon. He took off his helmet, and he knelt. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. Her eyes locked on his. No language, just silence. But silence was enough. He carried her out, step by step, as the ship groaned around them. Flames burst through the walls. Metal cracked. By the time he reached the surface, his skin was burned, and his lungs were full of smoke. But she was breathing. Alive. He found a hidden cave and set up emergency shelter. For 2 days, he stayed there, hiding her from scanners, feeding her from his rations, patching her wounds with his own kit. She never spoke, but she never stopped looking at him. On the 3rd day, she reached into her cloak and pulled out a small crystal. It glowed softly in her hand. She placed it in Elias's palm, pressed his fingers around it. A tear rolled down her cheek. Then she vanished. No ship, no signal, just gone. Elias was picked up by his team 3 hours later. He didn't tell them anything. Said he got lost in the rocks. They laughed, called him lucky to survive. The war ended weeks later. Elias left the army, started a quiet life. No one ever asked about the scar on his hand where the crystal had burned a mark. And he never showed it to anyone. 12 years passed. He thought about her sometimes, wondered if she lived, wondered who she was. But mostly, he forgot, until the sky changed. It started with thunder, loud, strange thunder. Then clouds split open above Earth's sky, and the largest ship anyone had ever seen appeared, glowing silver, silent as a whisper. People panicked. Military scrambled jets. Defense systems lit up. But the ship didn't attack. It hovered. And then a message came through every satellite, every screen, every speaker. Earth, do not be afraid. We are not here for war. We seek only one human, the man called Elias. Governments were confused. Who was Elias? Why him? The man himself stood in his small house in the middle of a quiet forest, watching the message on an old screen. He dropped his coffee, and for the first time in 12 years, he reached into his drawer and pulled out the glowing crystal. Still warm, still pulsing. Soldiers came within the hour. They didn't threaten him. They just asked, "Did you save someone?" Elias didn't answer. He just nodded once and walked out the door. In orbit, the silver ship opened. A long bridge extended toward the Earth, and at the end of it, she stood, older, stronger, dressed in royal armor. But her eyes were the same. She walked down the bridge without guards, stopped in front of Elias. No one spoke until she said 3 words. I kept my promise. A return no one expected. The whole world watched her step onto Earth. Tall, silent, wrapped in silver armor that shimmered like living glass. She didn't walk like royalty. She walked like someone with a mission, and she was headed straight for Elias. The soldiers kept their distance. Helicopters circled. Satellites zoomed in. But no one dared to stop her, because in that moment, everyone could feel it. This wasn't just a visitor. She was returning. Elias stood still as she approached. For a second, he didn't breathe. Then she smiled. Only slightly. The same smile he remembered from that cave years ago, right before she vanished. But now she had a voice, and the world heard it. I bring no threats. I bring no army. I bring a gift for the one who once gave me life. Governments moved fast. They flew Elias and the princess, now revealed as Queen Syria of Valerian, to a secret base. Reporters were blocked. News was blacked out. But the internet was faster than silence. Everyone knew. An alien queen had come to Earth for one man. In the base, Elias sat across from her for the first time in 12 years. No guards, no guns, just silence. Then she spoke. You never asked who I was, or what I could give. That's why I came back. From a case beside her, she pulled out something small. A box, smooth, silver, with no buttons, no lights. It pulsed, like it had a heartbeat. This is for you, she said, and only you. The scientists went wild. They scanned it, poked it, ran simulations. The results made no sense. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't even metal. It was something alive, but not organic. Not from this universe. The reading showed it could change its form, react to emotion, bond with DNA. Only one person triggered a response. Elias. The world wanted answers. Governments demanded testing. The Queen refused. It is not a toy. It is not for your labs. It is a gift of honor. One world leader scoffed on a secure call. And what exactly does it do? Syria looked at him through the screen. Calm. Sharp. It listens. Later that night, Elias held the box in his hands. It was warm. Familiar. Like it remembered him. He whispered, "Why me?" Syria stood beside him. "Because in my people's darkest hour, you didn't ask what I was worth. You simply helped." She looked at the sky. "And now, the galaxy needs your heart again." The next morning, alarms blared across Earth's satellite systems. An unknown fleet had just entered the solar system. Not Velari. Not human. And definitely not friendly. Back in the control room, Syria's expression changed. She recognized the ships. "The Syndicate," she said. "They tracked the gift. And they will burn your world to steal it." But Elias stepped forward. Calm. Steady. "Then we don't run." He turned to the box. It pulsed faster now, as if it agreed. The gift no human deserves. The object didn't blink. It didn't glow. It just sat in Elias's hand, warm, silent, alive. But somehow, it was listening. And now, it was waking up. Outside Earth's orbit, the Syndicate fleet waited. Black ships. No markings. No lights. Predators built for one thing: taking. They weren't here for diplomacy. They weren't here for war. They were here for the gift. Back at the base, Queen Syria stood with arms crossed, watching the Earth leaders argue. Lock it in a vault. Take it to the moon. Hide it underground. But Syria said nothing, because she knew. It couldn't be hidden. It had already chosen. In a sealed room, Elias sat alone with the device. No guards, just him and the pulse in his palm. He stared at it. Then, Quietly, he asked, "What are you?" The room changed. The lights dimmed. The air grew heavy. And suddenly, he saw something. A vision. Not a dream. Not a memory. A window. He stood in space, but Earth looked different. Not like today. Older. Wiser. Burning with light. And in the sky were ships. Not human. Not alien. But something before both. A voice echoed inside his head. Not loud. Not male or female. Just ancient. This world was once the key, but it forgot. Now it remembers. Then the vision ended. Elias gasped, falling to the floor. The device floated above his hand, spinning, glowing. Then it folded into his chest. No wound, no pain, but it was inside him now. Bound. The alarms went off. A Syndicate scout ship had breached Earth's orbit. Defense systems fired. Missed. The alien ship burned through the sky like a black knife and landed near the base. Syria turned to Elias. Her voice was cold steel. "You need to run." Elias shook his head. "No, I think it's time I understood what this gift really is." Outside, the Syndicate soldiers marched, tall, armored, breathing through masks. No eyes, no mercy. Their leader stepped forward, voice mechanical. "Give us the device, or we take your world instead." Elias walked to the edge of the base, hands empty, eyes steady. "You're too late." The Syndicate laughed, until the sky cracked. Above them, a ring of ancient symbols appeared in the clouds, circling the Earth. Every satellite shorted out. Every screen went white. And across the globe, people looked up, wondering what was happening. The Queen stared at Elias, eyes wide. "You activated it." Elias nodded. "I didn't try. It just knew." Deep under the ground, old machines came to life. Buried chambers that hadn't opened for 100,000 years. Walls made of stone and stars. Carvings of humans standing beside aliens, holding the same object Elias now carried inside him. The truth was clear now. The gift was not a weapon. It was a signal. And Elias, he wasn't chosen by chance. He was the final part of a story Earth had forgotten. Until now. Shadows follow the light. The sky was glowing. Not from the sun, not from fire, but from something ancient, something waking up. Across the planet, strange rings of light floated in the clouds. Symbols burned into mountain peaks. Oceans pulsed with quiet power. People looked up and didn't know whether to hope or fear. But in orbit, the Syndicate made their choice. They chose fear. Their ships began to descend. Hundreds of them. Black as smoke. Sharp as blades. No warning. No words. They came to take the gift. To tear it from Elias. And if Earth resisted, they would burn it. In the base, Elias stood still, eyes glowing faintly with the same pulse as the device inside him. He didn't feel like himself. He felt like something else was watching with him. "You are the spark," the voice whispered in his mind. "But the fire must choose to rise." Syria stood beside him, her armor now active, her eyes sharp. "We need to run." Elias turned to her, calm. "No, we stand." The first Syndicate assault hit the ground like thunder. Tanks, drones, shock troops in black armor. Earth's forces scrambled. Jets launched. Artillery fired. But it wasn't enough. The Syndicate was faster, smarter, trained for this. Then something unexpected happened. The ground shook and opened. From deep under the Earth, pillars of ancient tech rose. Metal that looked like stone. Light that pulsed like veins. Turrets no one had built. Shields no one remembered. Earth was activating. Not because humans asked it to. Because it was watching Elias, and it had finally decided. Humanity is ready. A wave of energy blasted from one of the towers, disabling syndicate ships mid-flight. Troops froze. Syria turned, stunned. These systems, they're responding to you. Elias didn't know how. He only knew he could feel them, everyone, like they were part of him now. But the syndicate wouldn't stop. One of their commanders landed near the base. 7 feet tall, skin like oil, eyes like cold metal. He walked through fire like it was wind, and he spoke in broken human language. You are the carrier. You belong to us now. Elias didn't flinch. He didn't draw a weapon. He simply raised his hand. The air around him bent. The dirt cracked. The towers responded. I belong to no one, he said, but I stand for everyone. A pulse shot out. The syndicate commander vanished in white light. Their troops began to retreat, not because of firepower, but because for the first time, they felt fear. Somewhere far away, a syndicate queen watched the feed. Her claws gripped the armrest of her throne. This is no longer about a device, she hissed. This is about a world that remembers who it is. Across the galaxy, silent watchers, other species, other empires, began to notice Earth. They spoke in hidden rooms. They awakened it. The old planet, the forbidden cradle. And they asked the same question. If Earth was meant to sleep forever, who gave it permission to rise? Back on Earth, Elias stood among the ruins. Above him, the towers hummed. The air felt warmer, quieter. But something inside him whispered. This was just the first wave. He looked at Syria. They'll come again. She nodded. Yes. And next time, they won't come alone. What Earth was meant to be, Earth had always been seen as ordinary. A blue world, full of noise, too young, too emotional. But the truth was never about how Earth looked. It was about what slept beneath it. After the syndicate fled, the planet grew quiet again. But something had changed. Not just in the sky, not just in the ground, in Elias. Every night, he dreamed. Not memories, visions. He saw the world as it once was, before cities, before names. A golden age, lost in ash. Humans walking beside beings of light. Machines shaped like rivers. Stars speaking in color. And in the center of it all, a circle, a beacon, buried deep under Earth's crust, waiting. The gift inside Elias had connected to it. And now it was waking up. Queen Syria stood with the Earth Council, explaining what the Velari had once learned but kept hidden. Earth was not made by accident, she said. It was grown, planted, a seed world, one of the last. The room went silent. And Elias, she added, is the first human it answered in thousands of years. Deep in Antarctica, a signal rose from the ice. Buried machines turned toward the sky. And a voice, older than time, spoke through Elias. But not with words. With feeling. With memory. A team followed him to the ice. No weapons. Just trust. They found a cavern of smooth crystal, pulsing with symbols not written in any language. When Elias stepped forward, the walls glowed. The chamber opened. Inside, a massive platform floating in blue light, a console formed from mist. And at its center, a heart. Mechanical, alien, human. All at once, he touched it, and the truth came. Long ago, Earth was a keeper world, a vault of knowledge, DNA, power, and balance. Its systems were designed to awaken only if humanity reached a choice: destroy or protect. The gift Elias carried wasn't just a key. It was a question. And now, it demanded an answer. Back on the surface, the Velari Queen spoke quietly. You saved me once. Now you must save your world by remembering what it was meant to become. But others were listening. The syndicate had sent out a call. To old enemies, old monsters, old gods. The moment Elias touched that core, they all felt it. Earth has risen. The cradle is awake. In deep space, something older than the Syndicate stirred, locked behind a veil of stars, chained in a dark system where time didn't move. It opened one eye and whispered, "So, the humans remember. Then let them try." Back on Earth, Elias returned from the cavern change. Not stronger, not faster, but aware. He didn't need to ask what the platform meant. He understood it, because it had always been waiting for someone who acted without needing to be asked. Elias looked up at the stars. The towers across Earth pulsed in sync, and in everyone, a light began to shine. The world was no longer silent. It was speaking back. The last stand at Skyfall Ridge. The sky tore open at dawn. Dark ships rained down from orbit, blacker than night, shaped like blades, burning through clouds like thunder. The Syndicate had returned. But this time, they weren't alone. Across the world, people looked up and saw the stars flicker. Not from distance, but from something closer. Massive, ancient, hungry. It wasn't a fleet. It was a godship, a vessel from the old wars, the kind told about in hushed whispers in alien history. It hadn't moved in thousands of years, until now, until Elias touched the core. Back on Earth, the defenses were already rising. The towers across the planet lit up. Walls of blue energy folded over major cities. Old machines from beneath the ground surfaced and took position. They weren't weapons of war. They were guardians. Programs designed to protect a world once promised peace. But Earth had to fight now, because peace was no longer an option. At Skyfall Ridge, the final activation site had been found. Hidden at the edge of a collapsed mountain range, guarded by snow and storms. The last part of the planetary defense system. The heart of it all. If Elias could activate it, Earth would be ready. If not, the planet would fall. Elias stood at the center of the ridge, the winds cutting through him, the ground trembling beneath his feet. Queen Syria stood beside him, her armor cracked, her blade drawn. Velari soldiers prepared around them. Earth's forces too, outnumbered, tired, but ready. This was it. "They'll hit us hard," Syria said. "Then we hit back harder," Elias replied. But he was different now. He didn't shout orders. He just moved forward, like the planet itself was walking with him. The first wave hit. Syndicate beasts dropped from the sky, twisted forms, more machine than life. They came in silence. But Earth responded loud. The ground split. Old weapons rose. Towers turned and fired beams of energy that cut the sky in half. Syndicate ships fell like burning meteors. But then, the godship moved. It didn't fire a weapon. It screamed. A wave of dark energy washed across the battlefield, shutting down tech, draining life, shaking minds. Soldiers fell to their knees. Some screamed. Some forgot who they were. But not Elias. The gift inside him glowed brighter than ever. He walked into the storm, unfazed, and the dark waves stopped around him. The godship focused. It spoke in a voice made of metal and memory. "You are not worthy. You are dust pretending to be flame." Elias looked up. Maybe. But even dust can light fire if the wind is right. He raised his hand. The activation key in his chest pulsed. The ridge responded. Pillars of light burst from the mountain. 1, then 3, then 10. Forming a circle. Inside it, a gateway. But not to space. To Earth's original core intelligence. A mind older than humans. Built to defend life. Buried when Earth was turned from a weapon into a home. Now it was waking up. Elias stepped inside the ring. The world dimmed. Time slowed. A voice, soft and familiar, filled the air. "You are not our creators, but you carry what they left behind. Do you wish to defend this world, even if it means becoming more than human?" Elias didn't hesitate. I already did that the day I saved her. The light surged. The system accepted. Outside, the towers activated worldwide. A planetary shield rose. Energy cannons formed from clouds and heat. And the godship finally realized. It wasn't attacking a planet. It was waking up a sleeping superweapon. And it was too late. The last battle began. Ships collided. Stars blinked. And in the center of it all stood one man. No longer just Elias, but the voice of Earth itself. The message that echoes through the stars. The sky was fire. The godship screamed in rage, unleashing storms that tore through mountains and melted steel. But Earth did not fall. It stood, not with armies, not with numbers, but with memory, with choice, with one man, Elias. At Skyfall Ridge, the activation ring burned like a sun. Elias stood at its center, arms open, eyes glowing. The Earth spoke through him now. He wasn't just human. He was the voice of every forgotten kindness, every quiet moment of mercy that no one saw. He had once saved a stranger with no reward. And now, the planet was returning the favor. The syndicate pushed harder. They fired everything. Dark matter bombs, gravity hammers, neural storms. But Earth didn't break, because it wasn't fighting alone anymore. All across the world, humans rose. Not just soldiers, doctors, farmers, teachers. Everyone felt it, like the planet itself was humming beneath their feet. "We remember who we are," they whispered. And the machines built by ancestors long gone. They remembered too. They opened, responded, protected. The world became a weapon of hope. Inside the godship, the enemy queen snarled. They were supposed to kneel. They were supposed to be small. A message came through her screen. Encrypted, simple. It played a video. Elias, standing in the light, saying only one thing. We were small, but we stood anyway. Then the final signal was sent. Earth's core flared, one pulse across the sky. It didn't explode. It didn't destroy. It woke something. Far away, in deep systems long silent, other beacons activated. Other ancient worlds began to glow. Earth's signal was not a scream. It was a call. We are here. We have risen. And we remember. The godship tried to retreat. But it was too late. A wall of light wrapped around it. And Earth whispered back. This was never your galaxy to take. The ship was erased. Not broken. Not shattered. Undone. As if it had never existed at all. When it ended, the stars looked closer, brighter, warmer. Earth was quiet again. But not the same. Never the same. Elias stood alone in the windswept ridge, his body still human, but his eyes deeper, wiser. Syria walked to him. Her voice shook. You changed everything. He shook his head. No, we just remembered who we were supposed to be. Months passed. Earth began to change. The old systems stayed online, but no one controlled them. They watched. They waited. And when needed, they would answer again. Across the stars, other worlds started whispering Earth's name. The kind world. The sleeping giant. The human flame. Children played games pretending to be Elias. Rebels painted his symbol on their walls. Even enemies told the story in secret. The man who saved a stranger and woke a planet. He was never seen again in public. Some say he became one with the machine. Some say he walks the mountains, silent, still watching. But when the wind moves just right, some say you can hear it. A whisper. We do not kneel. We do not rule. We stand. And when we stand, we change everything. The end.